I thought I would take an opportunity to respond to some of the Philosia questions that have been raised the last 2 days at the Chicago Kun. It looks like we're starting um, a new kind of training or discussion where a question will be posed towards whoever's training at the Kun that day, and then they might respond to it, and then Sifu will respond to the same question. And so anyway, so I wanted to add the online component to it. Although I saw on the FMK blog that Todai Ling already is adding the online component himself to the first question yesterday, which is what I'll address in this video, was what is true friendship? And I listened to everybody else's thoughts on it. I particularly like the way that Todai Ling on the blog suggested kind of changing the question around and asking, how can you become a true friend, or how can you be a true friend? Because a lot of times, when we think about the question about what is true friendship or what is a true friend or these kind of things, right away we start searching for examples, and he was making a case that in our society, friends, as well as lots of other kinds of relationships, are considered types of possessions, and this is problematic. And one way to get away from that focus on the possession, like having a friend, would be to flip it around and ask of yourself, how can I be a true friend? So I really like that. One thing that I thought would be important for me to add to the discussion would be to shift it out of this language, out of English, because when I think about these kind of questions, a lot of times I'll bounce it off of Blackfoot language and ask the same question there. And really, in Blackfoot, there's not a word for friend that would be equivalent to what's meant by friend in English. I think a good part of the reason for that is because Blackfoot language evolved in a kinship-based society where you're mostly around your family and stuff all the time, and so this notion of friend, like everybody's connected by kinship, rather than these friendships or these other kind of relationships. So there isn't a word that is exactly equivalent to the English friend, but there is a concept that is employed called nitak. Like nitak, I'm saying my not exactly friend. Literally, it's like my shadow. Nitak, my shadow. But what this is technically it's anybody that's kind of in my age grade. It would be considered nitak. But more specifically, someone with, at least with men, it would be my male partner on in spiritual responsibilities. So, for instance, like my wife and I, we took on a spiritual responsibility for our community about 7 years ago, and when we go into this, it's almost like a kind of a marriage, right? And at the same time, though, it's not like in the Western sense, where it's just the man and his wife. In Blackfoot, oftentimes the man takes a male partner into it as well, his, you could say, best friend, or best man, right? And this is nitak. And so, imagine in Western society if, when you're making your wedding vows, that you and your spouse are going to be together and love each other and all of this. If also um, the groom and his best man basically made vows that they're going to be, there for each other as very close friends, and you can rely on each other, forever. You're entering into that kind of relationship. It's almost like a marriage bond to a friend. So this is very different, and I have a friend like this. In fact, we, very formally, that went through the ceremony with us. And even though a lot of times, like, him and I are on different trajectories, and we're not on the same wavelength a lot of the time, we form that relationship out of our out of what do you call it? We're not exactly like-minded, but we have some interests in common, and we have a respect for each other in terms of the way that we work with knowledge and things like this, traditional knowledge in particular. So it kind of formed out of that, and but yeah, so we got a netaka, and this will be in my netaka for life. Not like I'll never have any other netakeks, but this my friend will be definitely connected to me for life through this. It doesn't matter how, if our lives go in different directions or what have you, we're still connected in that way for forever. So this is something that kind of throws the whole philosophical question for a loop, because you just don't have this in Western society. So what is true friendship? To me, part of the answer to that question would be when you have a friendship like this, where you're basically committed to each other for the long haul, even if you are going in different ways and stuff like this. You got somebody that you can depend on, that you can call on, and that person's going to be there for you. So this is something that I would like to add to the conversation. Now, I also have, I think that there's several different types of friendship, true friendships. I've got a friend in San Francisco who I met online, who I've never even been face to face with, other than over the computer, that I've grown very, close to over the last 4 years or so. And in some respects, I consider this person my best friend. He and I have quite a bit in common, and one of the things about our relationship is every time that we get together and talk, we kind of hurdle off of each other into new territory, into growth. And this is one thing I would, in addition to being committed long term, I think if you've got somebody that is helping you grow, that just being around them, every time you're around them, it helps both of you grow, that's a true friendship. And then another aspect of friendship I like to bring in, is my friend right here. This is Derek So Skinny. This is my magpie friend. And I'm sure, lots of people identify with having had animal friends in their life, whether it be a dog, cat, or whatever. But you can have, friendship doesn't have to involve people. You can have so little in common, because you're totally different species. And yet, if you have a love for each other, and you just want to be around each other, And I think that's an important part of friendship too, an important part of a true friendship. And you can see with the animals, no matter well, not absolutely no matter what you do, but it's you really have to do something wrong to your animal friend for them to carry a grudge on you. Um, your animal friend is going to be committed to you, and they're going to forgive you a lot of your. They're not there to judge you, right? And so these are all aspects of what I would consider true friendship. So those are my responses. Just a few ideas to throw into the mix, and I'm going to do a separate video regarding today's Philosia question from the Queen, which has to do with happiness.